no choice.
What in the... Oh, shame on you, Envy. I can't believe it.
I couldn't remember how long the white rabbit had been there. She was a little manic, but that seemed to be what to expect from her.
Shame. Of course I don't mean shame. I mean colloquially, of course. Shame and the opposite of shame, which would be... What? Actually? Kitty freedom. And have I craved it? Yes. All this time I've tried to forget it because that's what I thought the rules were. And you have no idea how I've suffered.
The white rabbit had tears down her face. I took her hand. She turned away from me. I felt briefly a moment that I wanted to kiss her, but I could feel in her trembling hand that she was in some distress.
The mountains where I was born, that's what you've led me to recall. Incredible. I know I don't think I'll ever visit them ever again, but it's more worthwhile. A memory. I feel a memory in this place, you see? It's a path out, something I've long abandoned, dreaming about. As I said, tried hard to forget, so the suffering would stop. But it's the suffering I need to go towards.
I thought of the climb up to Dracula's castle. There, how did I remember that? I tried to remember more, but the more I tried, the more I felt I would be wrested from this place. White Rabbit let go of my hand.
Well, I'll be damned. I do see a path. Down, somewhere down, below. It's terribly uncomfortable. Hateful, even. But there's a passage small enough for a rabbit, I think.
A rabbit? Such as yourself, or any rabbit?
I don't know. Will you come with me? At least, until you can't.
Of course, but how can I decide that?
You can't. I just wanted to hear you say it.
I leaned down and kissed White Rabbit on the cheek. At that moment, an arrow struck me between the shoulder blades. I was standing on a mountain, high above a vista that was striking and snowy and beautiful. The wind whipped my face, distracting as I looked down upon the arrowhead, which was well through my chest. My mouth was well full of my own blood. I knew I had a choice: fall, or look back and see who had done this. Below, I saw a rumble of men walking like ants towards another fierce front of cavalry, possibly. The wind made me unsteady, or perhaps it was the fact that I had an arrow through my heart, a not entirely quieting feeling. And yet I had time in this moment. Time to think, time to look around. This was the same place, Dracula's castle. I decided to turn, to face a man, quite striking, who looked scared, yet as he held another arrow knocked.
So, an arrow through the heart, demon. What does it take to conquer evil?
Hello. I'm entirely sure I don't know. What gave you reason to think that I'm evil? Again, death. In the form of a hooked weapon. It entered my neck. I saw the disgust in the man who was still in front of me, of pity. Was that the revelation? Perhaps that the pain was more theoretical than real, more described and less felt. And I slapped a fly on my neck. The western town. What was it called again? Troy, like Helenov? I saw Clive. Yes, he was waving from down the street. He tapped his wristwatch, an anachronism or a luxury few could envision in this place, and then went inside. I think he needed me for something. I'll remember eventually. But what did I need to stay in this place for? I looked down an alley between two of the wooden structures. I could remember the Highlands. A little girl with a tilted yellow ribboned hat held a white rabbit in front of me. She stared at me, smiled, then ran off. It was not the same rabbit. It was a goodbye. Clive was busying at the bar.
So, room 4, what'd you think?
I'm not sure. What did I say previously?
Don't be coy. I saw you look at her. She's up for a ride with her husband. perfect height for me. A little struggle is always fun. Anyway, I was thinking tonight, but they're here till after tomorrow, if you prefer.
Clive was likable, uncomplicated. Naturally, we were outside of a clear impediment likely to like our... Was he? Was he for good now? I told him perhaps tomorrow night. I had a stomachache. He gave me a tonic with ginger and I drank it and smiled. I did not know how this relationship was supposed to work, and I was in a way glad. I had never had one. Gratitude for rejection. It was nice not to be thrust into another place, nice to relax on my bed. The room felt like... It felt like I'd always been here, but that was the trick of this place. I thought of the little girl and the rabbit. I could remember the rabbit, the white rabbit. Touched by her. What insistent affection by her. By a vampire. I think there was a vampire I liked once. Yes, if I could place her name, I think that could help. The married couple next door left their room. They were going for a ride after all. I looked out the window. Indeed, the both with Clive, curious. And what could I do? How could I warn them? They had my horse. I tried not to fret. I went downstairs, lit a candle, looked again at the image of the woman in the blue-white dress. I could hear piano music somewhere outside. There was a distinct lack of wind, no one near, disquietingly quiet. I walked down the street towards the sound of the piano. Happy birthday. I looked inside the window of what looked like a bare room. The player piano played by itself by the dim light of a candle on a bench. I tried the door. It opened for me tenderly. I sat on the bench, looking at the ghostly piano playing. When had I last celebrated a birthday? When had I last known a vampire who would celebrate theirs? Never. Wasn't that a funny thing? Something we all had in common but never spoke of. When had I last attended a birthday party? Of course. Who else did I share a birthday with? I had surely lost track of why I was here. I suppose I had been warned. Was it calling to me? I had known fear and pain. Dracunin had known shame. Harry, anger. Was that it? Oh, how it felt good to know those names. Who else? The white rabbit. I felt the floorboard squeak. I pried it open, lifted it up, took the ladder down and down until the player piano felt like a distant tinkling, turning into the sound of a waterfall of sorts. Finally, I landed in the dark.
Tu es là?
Oui, je suis là.
Je pouvais même pas t'entendre respirer.
Je fais exprès. Rappelle-moi pourquoi.
Quoi?
Pourquoi je respire si peu?
Ah, le loup-garou. Are you here?
Yes, I am here.
I couldn't even hear you breathe.
On purpose. But remind me for what purpose.
Quoi?
Why I'm breathing so little.
Le loup? The werewolf.
Ah, oui.
C'est la pleine lune. The full moon.
But I can't see a thing, je vois rien.
That means we have time. I hope. There's a breeze. La rivière est par là.
I felt the ground then, a forest floor. Not of my youth, but of someone's, this man, cet homme. We were in France, in Galles, not in somewhere like Montreal or an island somewhere. I could tell somehow. I knelt and felt some pine needles. It was then I could feel my leathern sash-like belt with a knife attached to it and my thick clothed trousers. As I resumed walking, the man's shape came into focus, just barely. A fearful thing to be in such complete darkness. I was not a vampire here, strange. How did I know that? Because this place didn't lie, it only told stories.
Tu as dit quelque chose?
No, I said nothing. What did you hear? Qu'est-ce que t'entends?
Ah, fais gaffe, ça descend ici.
The path coursed downward. I steadied myself occasionally along thin tree trunks, their shape only suggested by my vision, as if it were a pointless painting in black. It reminded me of the prima materia. There, a memory. I was there and in the place. Shame, disappointment, rage, sadness, an opportunity. But then, the moon. We heard the howl. And oh, the howl was so beautiful to my soul. I felt it everywhere, every inch of my skin. And before I could understand it, I was a furred creature, and I joined in with the howl, like I was joined by its call by the moonlight streaming into me.
À toi aussi.
When I bit into myself somehow. I felt in that instant the Ouroboros become it, and saw it from without. A wolf head, a dragon, a snake, all at once and separate. And the mirror room, great grief, great reoccurrence, great sadness and confusion. Low, low, low across the plains I saw the bunny run. The bunny. It was her, it was the blue bunny, shaded but luminescent by the moon's light like the shell of an oyster. And was I was the wolf. Or I could see through his eyes, briefly. What? How could I? The lines. We ran in a circle. We passed the lines. The lines. The lines. We ran in a circle. We passed the lines. The lines. The lines. We ran in a circle. We passed the lines. The lines. Anger. 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 And now, fear. 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 And now, shame. 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 Each time we passed it, we seemed to slow, but it was only an instant. Such little opportunity. Each time we passed it, we seemed to slow, but it was only an instant. Such little opportunity. Its antidote. Its antidote. Its antidote. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. And now, peace. And now, pride. Its antidote. Forgiveness. And now, peace. And now, pride. And yet we went around and around the circle. What was the circle but sadness? And yet I could slow it down with the faintest glimmer of joy. 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 I was back in the empty room, the circular room. Agatha did not want to be caught. Agatha was built to run. Agatha knew that as the wolf chased her through eternity, that he would not return. That is what she knew, surely. I sank to my knees. I cried. I sobbed. My sister is lost. Below me was the moss. I heard the fountain. I was there, briefly. A voice said to me, not much time. I could barely stand, and so I crawled to the edge of the water. I drank. What was I here? Agatha the horse drank from the trough. As if waking from a dream, I looked to Clive.
Sure. But what about one more night? I could, give you a proper send-off.
That is tempting. You've been everything I could have hoped for. I mean, you've been kind. I appreciate the thought, but there is someone waiting for answers.
Understood. The truth is, I did the same thing when but I came back to find her. Maybe we'll be lucky, too, to reunite. I've appreciated the company, to be one's true self. It's refreshing,
Undoubtedly. I will try to return, of course. I'm sure we'll find the time. I did not remember the train tracks connecting to the town before, but perhaps they had been there and there hadn't been a train in all the time. Could that have been it? I felt great sadness at leaving this town. Part of me knew it as an illusion, and yet part of me had been absorbed in it, like I am when I'm in a painting, when I am painting, that is. The train was plush and quite refined. I suppose I was in the privileged class. Clive tipped his hat from the platform. But we perhaps both felt it was a little too romantic to simply stare and wave at each other as the train began to move. Still, he walked away with an unmistakable sadness. I think Harry would have liked him. Harry. I hadn't thought of Harry much. Harry must be my way back. My train car was mostly empty. There was an old man sleeping at the end, holding a rustic bag with beaded adornments tightly to his chest as if it were precious to him. Then I heard a bead from his bag fall to the floor. It rolled down until it was near enough for me to pick up. A common black bead, smooth, like onyx perhaps. The color, the color of the prima materia. I held it in my palm. I watched the countryside go by. The clouds supervised and swathed the plains with painterly light. Sand and red rock, and now the faintest swell of jasmine mixed with chuffing smoke and bitter grasses, and then thunder and a sudden summer rain. The lightning struck the train car, and I materialized in a way that made everything feel like it was a dream. And as soon as I caught my breath and let it out, I knew that I would forget most of what I'd experienced. Most, if not all. I lay back in a circle in the fairy ring in Scotland. The rain seemed to cease, as if on cue, as if someone had hit the switch. Had I failed? I did not know. I had tried. I had the sense that it was not in my power to get Agatha out. No, not in mine. Perhaps in another's. Humbly, I must accept that. I looked to my hand, but there was nothing there, though I had my fist clenched. I looked around in the dirt, had I dropped something, but could not find anything, and then forgot what I might be looking for. Still, there was something in my chest. A pure sadness, crystalline, sharp, clear. I knew I could melt it whenever I wanted now, and feel her.
I'll be here,
I said out loud. When you're ready. I was not quite ready to see Harry and the others. I felt alienated from reality a bit, uncertain about what I would lose by regaining touch with it all. My feet were unsteady, and though I didn't think I would fall, and I did not feel that weak, I was mildly afraid at how much time had passed. Still, the town looked much as I had left it. I walked until I could see the castle. There was smoke rising above the chimney. What else? I suppose I will tell you how it goes.
What in the... Oh, shame on you, Envy. I can't believe it.